let me show you some of my copies, natural selection. So please take a minute and think over the question. What you guys would have written for a 10 marker natural selection. So this is the topic. Please do a rough framework. Okay. After this, we'll discuss.
So, where is this? So did you guys did do a kind of rough framework of the answer? So I will show you how badly I have written. Okay. See, I have tried to define it. Natural selection. Let me change the color. Okay. So defined it for this long.
See, I defined the natural selection with this long paragraph without explaining it or giving any example. I think I have given it, but see, I have explained the example and again on paragraph, right? Such a long paragraph. And I have explained another example. See, so this is the way I used to write, and please take this as what should not be done. Okay, these are don'ts. And I concluded again with a paragraph. I tried to add relevance, which is, I'm not able to understand this. So this is the state of the answer that I wrote in my first and second mains. So you need not worry that particularly the beginners who have started their preparation in last year and have not written answers so far, please start. You will understand how to write, but these are initial things. Yes. And see, the Harappan civilization, I could not produce a good structured answer for 10 mark. See, I wrote with this long paragraph where there is no structure and there is no differentiation between whatsoever. Whoever, if they read this, they'll get fatigue, because an evaluator evaluates tens of paper every day. If he has to sit and research for one paper, he'll simply give him whatever marks is coming into brain, such that his marks will be anyways insignificant. Okay, so that is what has happened with me in my first two mains. See again this thing. There is a clear question where it has to be differentiated, and even in this I couldn't make any proper structure. I wrote something about racism. I did a generic introduction, and then something definition of race, and then a definition of caste, and then I tried to compare them in a paragraph. I don't know how this genius thought came to my mind. I think I was very foolish at that point. I couldn't even think of putting this in a comparative table. So this should not be done. All right. So you can imagine, the evaluator has done justice to me. He has given what I deserved. So I'm thankful to him, because that has led to transformation in my answers. Okay. So I'll show you how I changed my answers. So again, take a minute. Synthetic theory of evolution. This is the topic for 10 marks. Try to brainstorm. Okay. Take 45 seconds to 1 minute. All right. I'll be sharing those things in my Telegram channel. You can just refer, because the video will also be uploaded there. All right. So did you guys brainstorm? Okay. Now you guys observe, because you could already sense what has been written there. You could see that the answer begins with definition. Okay. The definition includes keywords. All right. And then this is one dimension, one part of answer, and background. Who has done it and in which work? Okay. This is incorporated. Then explanation of theory. Okay. 3 parts. And now part 4, diagram is included. And part 5, criticism. And part 6, significance of the theory or whatever the concept that has been given. And then we have the USP. Has anyone heard about extended evolutionary synthesis anytime, even by accident? So this is what brings, this is what takes the evaluator to curiosity. This is what will fetch that extra 1 mark. Imagine 1 or that extra half mark that you fetch for one question will cumulatively add to 30 to 35 marks. That is what is difference between a 260 or a 290 or a 250 or a 280 or a 270 or a 300. All right. So see, we have written 7 dimensions, 7 parts, and a unique element that makes this answer uniquely to that candidate. Okay. So with this, the concept has been explained. All the range has been shown. In 10 markers, you should show the range, how much you know about it. Okay. There was no need to write these many points, but if you're writing this, you will definitely score 7 or above. All right. So let's go to the second question. So like I said, enrichment can be done in 4 ways. One is through recent developments. Particularly, this should be used when it is about a core research field. All right. So let's come to second question. Why I'm showing is there is a reason. You know, a lot of you people have studied this. Even I studied this, and these are outdated, and UPSC has so far never asked. So we have very little content on it, and no one could write. I experience at least, no one could write 2 pages for one of the concepts, right? Because that is the level of preparation that we have restricted ourselves, since it is not very important topic in anthropology. But how will you write when it is asked, right? Because preparation is this, but how will you ensure that you're writing better there? So sometimes management skills, you need to manage some questions. So I'll try to show how I try to manage with the enrichment part. Okay, see this part. Sorry. So I tried to define it. So definition is one part, and I gave an example. Okay, and then I explained the why this has been devised, and fourth thing I explained the critic. I highlighted the critic. So 3 parts, and since I am limited here, so my content ends here with this classic example. Okay, many species went extinct or diminished in size. So this was the limitation of my content, but somehow I have to show the range and the quantity, because only then our answers will be airworthy. They will fetch that extra half or 1 mark. So I tried to include the example which everyone knows, but nobody cares to identify and use it. So we know that all modern birds, they are descendants of dinosaurs. So dinosaurs were huge, and all modern birds, except for a couple of them, they are very small. So that is an example. And when someone sees this, it is quite natural that yes, it is there. Samneta, it is right in front of our eye. And someone is showing which is right in front of our eye, which we didn't see, then it appears like, Arey wah, what did he write? What did he write? Right? That brings an impressive value. Okay. So this is about management. So this part, I did the same with the second part. Okay. See, Gauss rule also, I had the limited knowledge. So I tried to use 2 examples to fill the space. Okay. So the same things. And let's come to understanding the demand of questions. Okay. So far we discussed how to integrate enriched content and how to navigate where we feel deficiency in content. And the third thing is how to break such open questions into clear-cut demands. All right. So see, what is the question? Could you guys please read it for yourself, or shall I dictate? Sorry, narrate. The continuity of the Indus Valley civilization into later ages was not confined to the religious or spiritual fields alone. Analyze the statement. So please brainstorm this. Just try to identify what are the parts that you could have identified to answer. Need not write the whole answer. Just take 1 minute and try to break the demands. All right, please take a minute. So hope you guys have tried to identify the parts. All right, now let's see. It is open question. All right, and what is the keyword? Continuity. It is talking about the cultural change and continuity. It is talking about the social dynamics. So we need to identify both explicit and implicit demand. The explicit demand is, it is not confined to religious and spiritual fields. That means we need to write that it expands over other spheres of society. But implicit is, it also continues in these spheres. That part I should acknowledge right in the answer. So first part I just introduced with the necessary facts about the civilization. And the second thing I did is to address the implicit part, the continuity through ages due to persistence of its cultural elements in religious and spiritual sphere. Okay. So the points are very crisp and they are not elaborated because this is implicit demand and you are only explaining the context. Here, there is no need for elaboration. The weightage has to be given adequately. The main weight, the higher weightage has to be given to this part. That's why the space for this is limited. All right. It's not like it cannot be written in 2 pages. It even can be written in 3 pages. But you should divide it proportionately. So, the main explicit part, how it is not limited to religious aspects alone, but goes to cover. See, I identified, as you could observe, I identified the explicit demand very explicitly. I wrote it as economic, political, and technological elements without expecting the question to describe them explicitly. All right. This is what will catch the examiner's eye. And everyone knows that these parts will be written. There's nothing about it. All right. It's quite factual and it will be studied in GS as well. Same things will come out here. So when the demand is addressed, we should come very strong with conclusion, the USP again. Right? See, RCB won again. The power of consistency, right? After 18 years, ee salanu cup namde. Okay. So let's come back to the main part. The conclusion here is the culture collapsed as a unit, right? But cultural elements remained and carried forward by the remnant population to new settlements. This is what you will study in archaeological anthropology. This is what is that analytical crux, right? Whatever we live today, lot of elements are still alive from Indus Valley. The question was about continuity. That should be expressed. Like I said, enrichment can be done through articulation. It shows that you have understood the things at its core. I'm outrightly acknowledging and identifying it that some remnant population and some cultural traits have survived. So the IVC is still has some element of continuity. And to make it very strong and appealing, I tried to incorporate a quote. See, the scale and intensity varies because some traits, they remain in their original form. In some places, there are more traits and some places, there are lesser number of traits that are from IVC. because in Northeast you can see there are very few traits that are associated with Indus Valley. So with strong conclusion, I refer to quotes here. Civilization rarely dies, often lives through its cultural elements. Don't you think when we speak of the Sanatan society, when we speak of a civilizational nation, this is what it is referred to? Because India is not just the nation that is created by a political boundary. It's a nation that has still its roots in its civilization. And civilization by its very nature, it never dies. There will be cultural elements which will always remain. So with such nuanced, analytical, code-based conclusion, imagine how the evaluator might feel it. This is what will fetch you that extra 1 mark. All right. And let me be very clear here. That extra 1 mark is not just given to this question. When such answers are produced, this extra marks will add to every other question. Instead of giving 5, the evaluator tends to give 5.5, even in your average answers. So cumulatively, your entire paper will get boost. And it works other ways also. If evaluator finds you are just that mugged up answers, he'll give -2 than the average, and this will get reflected to the other questions, and your paper will be butchered. All right. So this is about the answer writing framework and strategy that you and me should develop in the next few months. So let's work together on this. And before this, I'll just try to show you a couple of more questions very briefly without going into that details. See here, I try to use the very common example which we know, just that we'll not be able to write it. Code switching, I think the new aspirants would not understand. Let me skip this. But this example is something. Code switching means when we are multilingual, we tend to speak in different languages. ನಾನು ಈಗ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಕನ್ನಡದವ್ರು ಬಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಹಿಂದಿಯವ್ರು ಬಂದರೆ ಹಿಂದಿಯವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. In this, when I'm switching language from one to other, that is what is code switching. Code here means language simply. And see, ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಕಮ್, ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಬೇಗ ಬನ್ನಿ ನೀವು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ಒನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್. ಬಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಐ ಸೇ ನೀವು ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾಕೆ ಲೇಟಾಗಿ ಬಂದ್ರಿ, आप क्यों लेट आए, आई एम यूजिंग वन इंग्लिश वर्ड देयर. दिस इज व्हाट इज कोड स्विचिंग. दिस इज वेरी कॉमन that we live every day. When you give some direct relatable examples, na, the evaluator will feel that you have understood, because you are picking this right out of your life. All right. So this is what will bring your that edge. Okay. So again, about the demand parts, it is there. And more importantly, the integration part, right? There is this lot of concern among the candidates, even I had until last year, where I tried to develop how to build the connections between the topics, theories, and physical and social. And here there is an example. I tried to use, why do we switch codes, right? Why do we switch? इವಾಗ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ, अभी समझो हम हिंदी में बात कर रहे हैं, and suddenly an officer comes, or say someone who is rich, he comes, will suddenly shift to that sophisticated English. Why? Because we want to lift our status to them, right? We want to feel that maybe वही हूँ भाई, मैं नीचे नहीं हूँ. This is what is required. And that is what social mobility, social aspiration and mobility. So this is how you need to interlink things. Okay. And see how I tried to integrate social adaptation. You are adapting to the situation, right? You might have seen the cricket commentaries, post-match shows. You know, some of our Indian cricketers, they don't know English. The interviewer will ask the questions in English, and the respondent will respond in Hindi. This is what is social adaptation. All right, this is how we need to bring the interlinkages. I'll show about interlinking theories later on, but since this is a brief strategic orientation session, I will not be able to extend so too far. And this is about national character and its relevance. See, again, like I spoke about, you need to answer based on demand. Most of us have read about national character studies, right? But we have read it in a bulk. We know at least 2 to 3 pages to write about national character. Since here it is, the question is clear, national character studies and its relevance. The weightage has to be split. First part, we need to allocate 50%. The next part, we need to allocate another 40 to 50%. Okay, so that is what I have tried to incorporate, as you guys could observe. See, first page, I wrote about the national, what is national character and its explanation and the studies and the works that have been done in this aspect. And the second part is relevance. Relevance with clean examples and whatever, and I have tried to incorporate Indian example. Because when we speak of theories and everything, they are generally written and most of the studies have done by foreigners. In India, except for some part, lot of things are borrowed. So when we try to give Indian examples for those works that are done by foreigners, the examiner will feel like he is linking the things, he is understanding as, and he is connecting the things. So that is what will give you an edge again. So there was this case which I used as a relevance. Usually this used to be right as a case study, but you need to adapt, and this is what you need to develop using the known things based on the demand and the situation. All right, and for role set and role strain, I think everyone knows about this, right? If not, I think most of the beginners will be finding it difficult. But yes, again, when the question explicitly asks about concepts, mere definition is not sufficient. You need to elaborate it. How? I'll ask you one question. How did you come to this classroom? In one line. You will tell that, sir, I came by bus, I came by bike, or I came by walk. But if I ask you to elaborate in 3 lines, how you can tell, sir, I went out of my home, I climbed down the stairs, I walked for a few minutes, and I came to reception, I asked for classroom, and then I came and joined the session. So you are able to elaborate it. Same thing here. All right. You need to elaborate when it is explicitly asked that concept of. Simple definition and multiple dimensions about the concept is not advised. You need to spend at least the portion, the weightage, 40% to the concept. Okay. And rest 60% you can use to show your range. All right. So that's about this part. So hope this is, there are a lot more, but let me stop here because this is overextending. Okay. So thank you guys. Let's see very shortly, and hope you guys start the preparation right away, because mains is consistent daily answer writing. All right. So thank you.